Hey guys, welcome to You the Boss Podcast, episode 53. And today we're going to be speaking with Laura Murphy. Before we get started, this episode is sponsored by Kaj Creations. Definitely check them out. Their information is in the show notes. Laura is a brand photographer and business educator for purpose-driven entrepreneurs ready to uncover their magic and take their brand, business, and life to the next level with freedom and alignment. She's a wife, RVer, freedom chaser, Airbnb host with her husband Scott, cat mom, and all-around multi-passionate as they come. She educates the creative community on all things workflow, systems, productivity, and time management to help her clients and students run thriving businesses that don't require working around the clock. Laura is on a mission for entrepreneurs to schedule more date nights, brunch weekends, and vacations as a result of finding freedom with their time, finances, and lifestyle while running a business they love. I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. Hi, Laura. Welcome to You the Boss podcast.
Hi, Pam. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, yes, we're excited to have you. So, we like to jump right in here at You the Boss. Give us a little bit of your background, what you do, kind of like what you have going on your side.
Perfect. Okay, so I do a lot of things.
I love that.
So very, very multi-passionate. Some people might say scattered, but I say multi-passionate. So I've
Mhm.
been a photographer for going on 13 years now, and I also do business coaching and honeybook setup for creative entrepreneurs and coaches and people in the wedding space. And so I do workflow strategy, system strategy, I build automations, design files, I dabble sometimes in brand and website design if the client feels aligned. I went to design school, so it was like a very multifaceted education there. And then I also own two Airbnbs that my husband and I run together, and I'm a new mom to a 5-month-old son.
Okay. Well, I would like for someone to try to say that 5 times fast.
Yeah, literally on my website, it's like slash, 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 slash. And I was like, phew, say that 5 times fast.
Well, we do love that. We do love someone who, like you said, it was multi-passionate about different things. I find that the saying is true. If you want to get something done, give it to a woman. And if
Yeah,
you want it done right, give it to a mom. So
love it.
here we are. So you mentioned the photography. So I'm gonna move a little bit backwards.
Yeah, sounds good.
I want to not necessarily start from the beginning, but you did mention you went to design school. So let's kind of start there. You went to design school, and did you jump right into photography after that?
Yep. Yeah, so I went to my major was interior design. I had a minor in business, and then I tried to triple minor. I wanted to minor in business,
That you could do
photography,
that?
and graphic design, and my school advisor was like, "No, you're crazy." So I minored in business, and I took a job as an interior designer at a design build firm in New Jersey. We had a lot of clients in New York City, London, Chicago, LA, Mexico City. So, really diverse portfolio as far as design goes. And I started my photography business in college, not officially as a business, but that's when I did my first session for my now husband's college roommate. They got engaged when we were in college. And so I was like, oh, I'll do your engagement session for free ice cream. And so
Wow.
that was my payment, $4 cup of ice cream. And then somebody else asked me right upon graduation, she was getting married about 4 months after we graduated, and she was a friend from high school. And she was like, "Hey, I'll give you $500 to shoot my wedding. I'll buy your memory cards and like buy batteries for you." And I was always the girl with the camera in high school. So she was like, "I trust no one else." And I was like, "That's crazy because I've never shot a wedding,
Mm.
but let's do it." And so I just figured it out. And she knew that I always wanted to be a wedding photographer, but my parents didn't think that photography was the most profitable career option because this was
Mhm.
pre-social media days. So I get their
Mhm.
point. It would have been a lot harder. But Instagram came about right when I was in college. So that was definitely a big help. And she was like, "Yeah, shoot my wedding." And I was like, "Okay, great. This is always what I wanted to do since I was a teenager." And so I did that. And I was like, "Holy crap. I could get paid to be around happy people. This is so exciting." And so that kicked off the career in wedding photography, and I went from 2 to 6 to 15 to 30. I basically just kept doubling the amount that I booked every year, and 30 was the most that I ever did. I realized that I also like having weekends, so that
Mhm.
was 2013 that I shot the first one, 2014 that I started my LLC, and then all the other things that I listed kind of happened organically and naturally. I feel like my entire career trajectory has very much been this is the obvious next step and this is what I'm feeling called to do next. I feel like I never went in with a plan to be doing all of these things and it just happened to fit naturally. And I think what's really funny is that going back to college, like I said, I majored in interior design and I tried to triple minor in business, photography, and graphic design. And now I
Mhm.
own two Airbnbs, which I designed, and do photography and do business coaching and do web and brand design. So I was like, all right, so my college advisor was wrong. You can do all the things. And so I am very passionate about allowing people to just dream big and helping them find clarity amongst all the different things that they feel called to do in life.
Okay, well, I love this. So, you mentioned something right there at the end that I do just wanna highlight. I was talking about this to my sister a couple weeks ago, and she always says that she's the queen of both. So, if we go to a restaurant and it's, like, either waffle sweet potato fries or just regular waffle fries, she's like, "Can I do a little bit of both? Like, why does it have to be just the one?"
Mm-hmm.
And so she always says that she's the queen of both, and we got to talking a little bit about that, about how sometimes in career choices, we're, like, guided to just you can only do one, you can't do both, and in your case, it was like you can't do all 3, you can only do the one over the other kinda thing, and you made it work, and I think that that's great. I think it really brings to the forefront again, like, we can do anything we put our minds to,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Uh,
how did you navigate? Because you said you were a wedding photographer,
mhm.
and you've been doing that now, like, over 10 years, you said 13 years, right?
Yeah.
So, how did you navigate the pandemic? Like, how did
Good
that
question.
go?
Yeah.
That now we've been in 5 years post-COVID now, like, we've
It's
been can't even
wild.
believe that, but
Me either. And I got married during COVID, and
same.
I'm like, how is our 5-year wedding anniversary coming up? I feel like COVID just whoosh, just time evaporated since then. But
Mhm.
very good question. So I always did multiple things. So I was already doing business coaching. I already had courses. I was already doing honeybook setups when COVID happened. And so I just leaned into all the other services and right when it initially hit, so mid-March I would say I feel like honestly it was this week. It was like St. Patrick's Day that the world started shutting down
Mhm.
because I remember we were gonna go into New York City to the St. Patrick's Day parade, and I was like, "I don't know, there's, like, a lot going on in
Yeah.
the news, I don't know if we should do that." And so this was the week that the world went to crap, and so I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna just take some time to do what I can to help other business owners out." So I hosted what I called the Deeper Roots Retreat, and it was a 5-day virtual retreat where I created workbooks and webinars, and I basically just did 5 days. There was honestly no pitch at the end. It was just like, let's build a stronger foundation for your business. And then there was like 500 people that joined, which was crazy because now I feel like getting 500 people to a webinar would feel literally impossible. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. And I just like I think what was so cool about it is I didn't overthink it, which I tend to do. I overthink
Mm.
everything. I take years to put something into motion because I want it to be perfect, and it is definitely a character flaw. But with this, I was like, yeah, let's just do it. We're just gonna like host a retreat. We're gonna make some social media posts, make a Facebook group for it, and it was awesome. And then people were really interested in what I had to say. So I was like, maybe I should launch my course again during this year. And so I launched my photography workflow mastery course, which was my signature course. And we did really well. I think we got, I would say, about 100 students in 2020, which was great. And that was the bulk of my income. I rescheduled all of the weddings to 2021. So 2021 was definitely crazy.
Mhm.
A lot of people opted to not have a wedding. And so I transferred their contracts to be family sessions or newborn sessions or anniversary sessions or whatever. I was like, I will just be indebted to you until you use up all of this because I was like, I don't have thousands of dollars to return to
Return.
everybody. Like I've been using it to run my business. We got PPP money. I had a full-time employee at the time and I was so determined to not furlough her. And I was like, I want to do everything I can to keep you full time. In hindsight, I don't know if that was the best idea, but I just have like fierce loyalty to my team. So I was like, I will do whatever I can. We will just come up with random stuff to make money. And I was able to keep her on for the whole duration of COVID. And I mean, we're still really close. She doesn't work with me full time anymore. I was like, I think you need to start your own business. Like she's a photographer and she's absolutely crushing it. So
I love that.
it was just like, okay, here's your wings. Go, go into the
Yeah.
world. And so she's incredible. And I think that was all a blur, but all just kind of like flying by the seat of my pants, and it happened to work. And I think it ended up actually being like a really profitable year, which was crazy. So we got
Okay.
scrappy.
So I think that is incredible to mention because as rough as that time has been, especially in 2020 and all the different things, like I also was legally married in 2020 and then we had our wedding in 2021, but that wedding was cut. So where we were going to have like over 100 and something people, we had 80 people at our
Yep.
wedding.
Yep.
And to be transparent with you, it was the best in that sense.
Mhm. Yep.
But you're right, there was so much that we saw. There was so much that we had to, like, pivot and change, and so I'm glad to know that you were able to just do it, right?
Yeah.
'Cause I'm the same as you, overthinker, and, like, literally took me years to start a podcast where I was just like,
Oh
"Oh,
yeah.
I could do it, and I could do it with this person, and we could do this," and, like, it always fell through or, like, I didn't end up starting it with anyone, and then it was COVID.
Hmm.
I had been let go from my full-time job, and I was like, "Alright, well, we're doing this." So,
Love it.
here we are 4 years later, and I'm also a new mom, so we're doing the things, right?
I love it. Yep. Podcast has been on my list since 2016, I want to say. I've owned the
It'll
domain.
happen. It'll happen in its right time, and when it does, you're gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, I love this. I love
Oh, I
it."
know. Yeah, I started recording interviews and then I got pregnant and I was like, I don't want to launch it and then have to take a break. Like I want it to be able to be consistent once it is out into the world. And I keep
Mhm.
getting emails like, you have 100 downloads. And I was like, I didn't even publish anything other than the trailer. Where are you people finding this? But I'm like, okay, well, at least that's motivating. So someday it'll happen.
Yeah, they'll come. They will definitely come. So, you did mention you're doing a ton of things. Is there anything of what you do that is your favorite? Or, like,
Mm-hmm.
obviously you love all the things, but is there one that's just like
Has my heart.
yeah.
Brand photography has my heart. So
Really?
I started transitioning from full-time weddings as the bread and butter with photography to full-time brand photography as the main photography avenue that I do, and I've done brand photography for 11 years now, so it wasn't new, it was just like, "All right, we're gonna pivot which one's the main source of income on the photo side of things." And it is like it's my life calling. I love it so much. It is so exciting. My son now comes to every single session with me, which is great. So, I don't know if I said it, before we were recording, but to everybody listening, my son is 5 months old as of last week, and so he just comes to all my brand shoots with me. But photographing people doing what they're passionate about is so amazing, and getting to see people light up, and I feel like the line that I say is that I document soul shine, and when people are just lit up about what they
I
do,
love
it's
that.
so exciting to work with them. And primarily, I would say 95% of my clients are just female visionaries, and they're so
I love
fun
that.
to work with. So I love brand photography. I think in general, I'm very passionate about other people doing what they're passionate about. So I think that's why everything that I do works together. I think passion is the thread between everything. I photograph people doing what they're most passionate about. I coach people on how to step into and grow their passions with starting a business or scaling a business. And with the system side of things, it's all about streamlining things so that you have more time to do the part of your business that you're passionate about. And that was basically my story, was burning out with photography in the beginning, and I got really obsessed with systems because I was like, I'm not doing any of the photography stuff. I'm just spending all my time doing admin stuff and sending contracts and managing my inbox and all of that. And so the system side for me is all just about helping people get back to the thing that they're actually passionate about. So that's my thread, which took me a really long time to figure out. Um and then yeah, so brand photography definitely is my number one, has my heart.
Well, I love that. I love the soul shine line, and I think we first of all, we don't realize how important photographers are in general, and then we think that it's only like a family thing or a wedding thing, and then you say that, you talk about the brand and you talk about bringing that vision to life for people, right? And you're doing it. You're doing, like, for lack of better words, you're doing God's work in that way because you're able to document it and put a face to people's brands. And like, I love to see authentic brand photos. I love to see people I love to see them shine through that. So, on behalf of everyone you photograph up until this point, thank you. Um,
I love what you said. I There was this quote, it was from like a Hallmark movie, honestly, that I watched this winter, but I wrote it down and I just opened it up in my notes. But it was, when God gives you a gift, the best thank you is to use it.
oh, I love that. I do like
And
that.
that's good. And it's a good reminder to just like, even, whether it's a gift or an idea, the best thank you is to put it out into the world.
Wow, I'm definitely gonna remember that and
I'll
use
email it
that.
to you.
Yeah, yeah, please. I like that. So, just pivoting a little bit here, you know, what's a recent challenge that maybe you've encountered in all the things that you do, right? Because we're talking Airbnb, we're talking business, we're talking all of those different avenues. So, give us like a recent challenge, something that you faced on with your work and kind of how you've overcome it, or maybe you're still overcoming it. So just
Yeah.
give us a little bit of that process.
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing that I'm in right now is figuring out how to balance working pretty much full time with a 5-month-old without any childcare. He has only been watched by other people twice in his life, and I was in the room and I was just like, "Hey, grandma, grandpa, you go play with him. I'm just gonna sit at the kitchen table." So working during nap time, helping him get good at independent play, and
Mm.
working late at night. Last night, we're just starting to transition him to an earlier bedtime, so he
Okay.
was down by 9:30, which I feel like most people would think is late, but for us, that's pretty early. It's normally 10:30. So I was
Mhm.
like, "All right, I'm gonna work until like 11:30 or until my brain is dead for the day." And so
Mhm.
I was never an advocate for working late or anything like that, but this is probably my biggest quarter ever in business, and I honestly don't know how that
Wow.
happened. Um, I am very thankful for that, but I'm also like, holy smokes, I have way more work than I have time to do. So that's a challenge. I think the way that I'm trying to navigate and manage it is remember that I have an amazing assistant who knows me and the business inside and out and is happy to be delegated to and to take on projects and take on parts of projects. So just delegating and making sure our systems are fine tuned in every aspect is definitely the biggest lesson that I'm learning over and over and over again. And I think it became even more apparent when I became a mom because mom brain is definitely a thing. I always thought
Mhm.
people lied about it. I was like,
Yep.
yeah, you're just like tired or whatever. But there are so many times where I tried to remember a word and I'm just like, what is that thing that, like, you do when you're, like, what's the thing you put the baby in and you walk around and people are like, "A stroller?" I'm like, "Yes, that is word."
That one.
And, like, it's just, like, so often I forget words, but, um, I think because of mom brain and just because of being, tired and busy and you have so many decisions you're making for other people throughout the day and you're so needed all the time, I wanted my business systems to be as streamlined and repeatable as possible. So I have
Mhm.
email templates for literally every single part of my client experience, every client response ever. I use AI if I don't have an email template for it. And
Mhm.
I just want my brain to make as little unimportant decisions throughout the day, like what to say in this email. Because I think it was even Jane who is the one that referred me to you. I feel like she had said to me years ago, she's like, I'm just so bad at email. Sometimes it takes me an hour to write an email. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's not a good use of our time as a business owner. And obviously,
Mhm.
she's a mom too. And
Mhm.
so I think having systems in place is just becoming more and more important. And while they always existed in my business, they did not always exist in my life. And
Mhm.
so now I think the thing I'm trying to navigate with this challenge is figuring out a better life schedule for the
Mhm.
just like grocery shopping and meal planning and laundry and all of those things. And
The ever-ending lists, right?
yeah, and just when you get to the bottom, it all resets, and you're like, "How do I have 3 loads of laundry to do? I don't know." So, I think that's the biggest challenge right now, and it's working. I think I'm probably doing a better job than I'm giving myself credit for, and I'm
Mhm.
just finding the
That's the mom in
margins.
you.
Yeah, I'm finding the margins, I'm trying to ask for help when it is appropriate and when I'm really overwhelmed and acknowledging like yesterday my husband and I went on a walk with the baby and I was like I'm overwhelmed. If he always makes dinner, so this isn't like anything new, but I'm like if you could like take care of groceries, meal planning and dinner this week so I can get work done while you're making dinner and Beckett can be with you on the little swing while you're making dinner and I can get an hour focused, that would be great. And so I think that's also a challenge for me. I don't like asking for help. So
Mhm.
that's definitely the season that we're in and we're getting there.
Yeah, so first of all, when's your birthday? I'm a little bit of a horoscope person, so I always like to ask.
February 3rd, I'm an Aquarius.
So, I find that the more ambitious we are, the more the harder it is for us to ask for help.
Yes.
And I think it's because we're so used to juggling 87 things,
Mm,
and in this season of my life, I'm a little bit ahead of you. I have a 10-month-old like we spoke about.
mhm,
I'm in that boat also where I'm like, "Yeah, but I don't wanna abuse asking for help." And
mhm,
it's like, first of all, I'm not really sure you can abuse it if you actually need the help. That's
Right.
one. Two, it's also like, yeah, but if you need it, are you really abusing it? Like, doesn't it make you a better person to ask for it? And it's like all these logical things, right?
Yeah.
That we, for whatever reason, have to cycle through. It's like that cycle of like the asking for help cycle. And then it's like you think about who to ask. And then you're like, oh, but do I want to bother them? And then it's like, well, they offered. And you're like, ah.
Yep.
And then,
Yep.
the cycle keeps going.
Yeah, and what's so funny, I think I said this to one of my best friends on the phone one day, but I was like, I have never been upset or annoyed when somebody asked me for help. I'm so happy that they came to me and asked for help. I'm like, why do I think that I'm such a burden asking
Mhm.
for help or like asking my neighbor to check on the cat when we go on vacation? She's like, I love doing it. I love your cat. And I'm like, oh, okay, I don't want to bother you. So I was just like, I have never ever thought of anybody asking me for help as a burden, so I don't know why we tend to go through that spiral thought process.
I think it's a new phase of things because
Yeah.
now you, like you mentioned before, you've always had some type of a system for something in your business, and now you're translating that a little bit more in your personal life as well. And while I'm sure you had some type of a system in some fashion or another, now there's another little person involved, and now there's other different things. And like, I want to say congratulations. We are doing the things. We're
Yeah.
doing the work of raising the next little leaders and all that kind of thing. And it's a good place to be, but it's also good to remember that it does change on a week to week basis.
Yeah.
Like as soon as we get that schedule, or at least this is what I tell myself, as soon as we get in that schedule and we're in the rhythm and we're this, then they do something new. And now my little one's, doing more solids, and he dropped a dream feed. And soon we're going to be talking about like shoes and what he's running around wearing because it's going to be summer and he's going to be walking. And like, so every time it seems
Yep.
that we just continue to like pivot and do the things. And I think it's fun, but you're right, it is also overwhelming. And it's good that you've acknowledged that you are self-aware, but also just, remember to give yourself grace
Yeah.
because you've never done this before. And
Yep.
even I hear that even when you have like a second or however that journey goes for you, you it's different every time. So every time you think you got it, you kind of don't.
Unpredictable. Yep.
For sure. So, how do you're in some business coaching, right? So that's been like a high trend, especially on social media through COVID, where there's so many different people developing their business around helping other business owners.
Mhm.
So, how would you say that you stay more current, or that you stay kind of on the edge of it? Is it like do you feel like it's a constant change, or do you feel like for you, you've benefited from maybe like just keeping certain things consistent and just continuing them?
Yeah, I don't put too many eggs in the coaching basket. I have probably never marketed it in the last 8 years, I wanna say.
Mhm.
So everything that I do in coaching is referral or they found me on Google. So I don't spend too much time like keeping up with the Joneses, I would say,
Good for
on
you.
Instagram. So my coaching, I do my favorite thing is clarity coaching and kind of just brand strategy. I think people come to me when they are pivoting or scaling or refining their business, whether they've been established and they're trying to launch new services or rebrand or gain clarity. So one of my coaching offers is just a 90-minute clarity call, and I give a really thorough questionnaire ahead of time because I think my superpower is listening to people who are very multi-passionate or very scatterbrained, very ADHD type brained, and helping them narrow in and figure out the umbrella focus between all of their different passions. And just yesterday, I was working with one of my website design clients. So I'm doing her honeybook, her brand design, and her website design, which has been really cool. And I think with that process, coaching just naturally comes into play. And she was saying all of the different services that she wants to do. And we were trying to figure out how that fits on a website and how all of those different things connect, because she said she wanted to do lifestyle photography and food photography and recipe development. And she was talking about senior portraits and prom photos and stuff like that, but then also food photography. And I was like, okay, well, those two things are very different clients, but is there a way to do lifestyle photography that does fit the type of clients that are reading your blog about the new recipe or the herb, how you're growing herbs in your garden and how you're milling your own flour and all these things? Like, who's also interested in those things that you're interested in? And at the end of the day, we just came up with that she is a photographer and recipe developer for foodies, and foodies were that thread between everything that she wanted to do. And she's like, yes, like I would love to do lifestyle photos for the smoothie shop down the street and would love to do their headshots, but also their food photos. And so that's the coaching direction that I go, is just like helping people find clarity. I think that is my superpower, and I just lean into that, and I tell people what I'm not good at. Like, people will come on a consult call and I'm like, "Listen, I'm not the person you come to if you want help with marketing. Don't I've I've had a successful business, but
Mm-hmm.
marketing just kind of happened for me, and like sales, I don't know. Half of me just thinks that it's all been luck, and then people are like, that's stupid. But I just tell people, I'm like, I'm not a marketing strategist, so if that's what you want help with, don't come to me. If you want systems and you want clarity, come to me for that. If you need branding help, come to me for that. So I think just with anything, leaning into your strengths and owning what you're good at and being upfront about what you're not the best at. And so that's, I think, has helped with getting coaching clients and stuff like that, is just the honesty behind what what I can bring to the table for them.
Well, I love the automatic transparency of saying like you're not keeping up with the Joneses. You just kind of stay in the basics realms of like, this is what I'm good at. If this is what you're looking for, then it's not really the route that I'm going down. And also, like you mentioned the ADHD brain thing. And I have to say, like, it's so often in the coaching space that it's very easy to fall into that, to fall
Yeah.
into the like, well, I do this and I do that, and I can also help you with this. And it's like, yes, but what are you really good at? What are you really passionate about? And it just so happens to be that your niche is clarity. And I think that it's great. And it's also a lot of fun because you can literally just be in it, be who you
Mhm.
are, and just bring yourself to the table as opposed to maybe spreading yourself thin,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And it's, I think one of the things that took me forever was figuring out, okay, I have all these passions. What is the connecting thread? And
Mhm.
it was passion. How meta. Um, and so I think people can people are also attracted to that too, because they see, "Oh, okay, Laura didn't pick just one thing, and that's what the world tells us to do. They tell us to fit
Mhm.
nice and neat into this box." And I was just like, screw the label, screw the box. I want to do all these things, and I'm going to prove that all the things can be done well. And I tell people that too on consult calls. I'll be like, look, my excellence is one of my core values. And if what you're looking for doesn't match what I feel like I can do really well, I'm not going to waste your money. And so I'll never ever oversell people, because I'm like, yeah, I would love to sign this contract. I'll just be like, I'm going to refer you to this person who's way better at marketing or sales strategy or whatever than I am. And so I think that's just really cool too, is also having a community of other women who are good at
Mhm.
various different things and having a network that you can refer people to, whether it's photography or coaching or. HoneyBook or whatever.
I think that is great, like, that you're able to just say, "I know what I'm good at, and I also know who I trust to refer you to if it's not something I'm good at." I
Yeah,
think that is so very powerful because so often in the business owner space, it's very competitive, as you
yeah,
I'm sure you know, and sometimes it's like we forget to realize that there is a piece of the pie for everyone. There's a
yeah,
slice for everyone. We can all eat in some capacity or another, and it doesn't have to be all competition or all I want to do all of the things.
yeah.
And also you said, which I really love, it's like you're like screw the box. And yeah, you were like, that's a square, I'm a circle. This is
Yep,
what I'm doing. And I love that. I
yep,
absolutely love that because that is just so real, right?
yeah,
And to be able to not only be honest externally, but also be honest with yourself, that's completely transformative. So
yeah.
good job. You're doing it, Laura.
Yeah.
You're doing
Thank
the
you.
things. So what
Beckett
advice
just woke up,
oh,
but I wanna answer this.
oh.
Can I just, like, bring him in?
Yeah, of course you can. Bring in the baby. Yay. I love this. Hello. I think you're muted. There we go. Hello. We have a special guest here. So exciting. Hi.
He's very
Oh, he
excited.
smiled at me.
First
Oh my
podcast.
goodness. If you're
He's
watching this on YouTube, say hello to Beckett because Beckett just smiled at me. Ah, hi,
you
bud.
sugar dimples.
So adorable. So, kind of winding down a little bit, what advice would you give someone starting out in your industry or your field? Now we're in a completely different space than maybe we were even 2 years ago, let alone 5 to 10 years ago. So, what would be like a couple of things of advice that you would give?
Yeah, okay. I would say first, just brain dump all the things that you are passionate about, all the people that you like to help, the ways you like to help them, and really honing in on your message. And I think that something somebody said to me was stop getting held up on the services and what you do, but what the end result is that you help people with. And that's what really helped me find clarity. And I think once you have clarity, focusing on your brand and your ideal client. And I think for me, we've said screw the box, screw the labels. I have all these different services, but my ideal client is essentially the same for all of them. I love working with female visionaries and entrepreneurs and high achievers and big dreamers. And I think that has always been who I love working with. And so once I figured out that the purpose and the mission, then my brand could fall into place and my services fell into place. And
Mhm.
it just made everything easier. It made marketing easier. It made writing website copy easier, website design easier. Um, and I think that another piece of advice would be to not take advice for somebody that you don't want to emulate. I think I took
Mm.
a lot, so that's kind of like anti advice. But I think I took a lot of I I took too much to heart from people whose businesses I didn't want to emulate, and I let
Mm.
them be like, "No, you can only do one thing. No, you can't courses aren't successful. You can't do courses. You need to do it this way or you need to do it that way." And I think I let that hold me back for years in certain avenues. And so I think that was a really good thing. I don't know who told me that, but they were just like, "Are you trying to build a business like so and so that told you not to do XYZ?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Okay, so then why are we taking advice from them?" So
Mm,
I think, if you don't like an answer, you get to rewrite your own answer. So if the book says pick one thing and you want to pick five, you go ahead and pick five and you figure out how to do it. And I just think that there where everything, as Marie Forleo would say, everything is figure outable. And,
mm.
we are on a podcast interview with my 5-month-old on my lap. And so it's figure outable
Yep.
and you can really do this is so cliche, but you really can do anything that
You
you
put
set
your
your
mind
mind
to.
to. And I
Mhm.
think that the more aligned you are with your business and with your services, the easier it's going to be. I think abundance follows alignment. And that has been true every every time I am feeling up against a wall with a service of like, I don't know if I want to do weddings anymore. Like as soon as I stop wanting something, that something stops wanting me. And
Mhm.
whether that's law of attraction or what, I don't really know. I don't really like follow any of those things, but I think that every time I do want something and my energy is there and my alignment is there and my excitement is there, it comes to me in spades, whether that's brand photography or coaching or honeybook strategy or Airbnb. Like as soon as we launched the Airbnbs, we were so excited. And that energy just came back to us tenfold with amazing clients who were excited about our houses. And I just think when you, the quote that I have on my vision board is when you, um, two things. When you Oh my god, what is the quote? This is mom brain at its finest. I literally stare at this every day. It's like, when you sell something you love and not a specific product or service, that will show. And it's just you're selling love and you're selling passion and you're selling something that you're aligned with. And I think that is really important for business owners to know because I think there are an infinite amount of ways to make money, and you need to find the way that is gonna light you up and be exciting. And then my other quote is that if you pursue things out of love, not lack, then anything can happen.
Wow. I really like that quote. You have a
Yeah.
few quotes to email me today.
Few quotes. Um,
I do
so
love that
yeah,
though.
that's my random bit of advice.
I do love the first of all, I love that you have a vision board because we're big advocates of that here. I actually did an event in January where I co-hosted. It was like a sound meditation and vision board,
Yes.
and I love that. I love more people are making vision boards. I love that, you know, I keep connecting with people with vision boards. So I do love that.
Oh,
But I also love that you have quotes on it, that it's not just pictures and those kinds of things. I think that really brings the light to whatever you put on this metaphoric board is what becomes, is what flourishes. So
yeah.
I do love that. And just to, I guess, wind it down, where can people find you? I'm going to put all this information in the show notes and definitely tag you on Instagram and all the appropriate places. But where can people find you?
Yeah, so Instagram probably has all the relevant links. So the one that I most actively use is at LauraleeCreative. So my photo and coaching website is lauraleecreative.com. And then my site for systems is findyourfreedomco.com. And we have like honeybook templates and courses and done for you services and stuff over there. And my Airbnbs are on Laurel Creative too. They're super cute. So if you're ever coming to the upstate New York area, they're both in Hudson Valley, New York. One's on a lake and one is in the town of Warwick, New York. And
Ooh,
they're
very nice.
adorable and I love
Yeah.
them and we'd love to host people. So
Well,
that's
I do love that. I will definitely have to check out the upstate New York setting because I love to go everywhere. I'm in Eastern Pennsylvania now, but I'm originally from Jersey and I just the wanting to go places is always there for me. So I'll
yeah.
definitely check that out myself. But again, I'm going to put all that information in the show notes. And I want to say thank you to you and Beckett for coming on to Be the Boss podcast today.
Thank you. Thanks for letting him join, and Beckett, good job on your first
Yeah, you did so
video.
good.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.